I'm trying to ease the tension. How many of you know that you were born for greatness? That you can achieve something amazing? That you can be the voice of change? 1 month ago, an amazing event occurred. On November 2nd, 2010, it was Election Day, a day of change. And each one of us had the opportunity to voice our opinion, to encourage the change that we wish to happen in our society. Change is something that we're all familiar with when it comes to elections. In fact, the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported that in the 2010 election, every single candidate running for office in Nevada used the phrase change in their political advertising. We've all seen this: advertisements on television, banners on the side of the road, billboards, all saying change. We want change. But what kind of change is actually occurring? 10 years ago, in the year 2000, the unemployment rate in the United States of America was 3.6%. A percent deemed by the US government as being full employment, meaning every individual who was able and wanted to work had a job. 10 years later, in our day, the unemployment rate is now 10.8%, more than triple what it was just 10 years ago. What kind of change is really happening? By the show of hands, let me ask you a few questions. How many of us know someone who is struggling financially, who is without work, who is seeking for a job? How many of us have a family member who is struggling financially? And lastly, how many of us individually are struggling financially, without work, or looking for a job? What kind of change is actually happening? I want to tell you a story. I recently returned home from an LDS mission. I served in England. While in England, I met people from many cultures, many different backgrounds, different religions. They all had one thing in common. They were amazed when they heard that I was from America. I was American. To them, that meant something. They had this theory in their minds that I could live what they called the American dream, that I could become whatever I wanted, that financial struggles didn't mean anything to me because I was American. This confused me a little bit. When I returned home, I began to look for this American dream. I'd like to tell you another story. My lifelong friend served a mission for the LDS Church not too long ago. When he had been out for about 18 months, he received a phone call, a devastating phone call. A phone call informing him that his father had unexpectedly passed away. My friend, uncertain of his future, finished his mission and returned home. Upon returning home, he found his mother in a dire situation. Her sole provider, her husband, had passed away. She was in foreclosure on her home. My friend and his mother had to move, leave the home he grew up in, the home they had family memories in. Because of the situation they were in, there was no help, nowhere to turn, no one reaching out. What kind of change is this? This is the difference between 3.6% and 10.8%. There's only one thing that can change this. That one thing is each one of you. Each one of you has a voice, the ability to make change. the next election day, I would encourage you to get out there, to voice your opinion, to make the change we know should happen. To give those around you, to give yourselves, and to give your children the opportunity to live that American dream. And when the time comes, remember me. Vote change.